Hello, everybody. Welcome to Melbourne Youth Orchestra, Presto PD. My name is James Le Fevre, and joining me today is Joe O'Callaghan. We're talking the retention recipe, how to get students to keep showing up to your ensembles and keep striving to do better. And I think it takes 2 out of 3 things for this to happen. The first thing, I think there needs to be some level of connection between the musicians. The second thing, I think there needs to be a sense of mastery or a sense of progress. We're going somewhere with this thing. And the last thing is the music. Students will show up for the music. If you get 2 out of those 3 things right, I think that's a pretty decent recipe to have those students showing up week after week. Now, Joe, let's talk about connection first off. You've got some thoughts.
Sure. Well, it's a basic human condition. We want to connect with people and create relationships. And music offers one of the great opportunities, not only to create a connection with another human, but it's also a connection that shares a deep understanding and creation of music. So music's the perfect thing. And in creating, when we set up our ensembles, if we can't create that social connection, then we've got massive problems because the music demands it to succeed. Once the students start to feel that connection and that responsibility to each other, it's not a chore to come to rehearsal. It's a joy to come to rehearsal and experience making music. So if we can create that and set that up in an ensemble experience, then we're a long way there to ensuring success. Success in terms of making music, improving as a musician, and developing an awareness of social interaction as a human.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all experienced that electricity that happens in an ensemble, whether that's rehearsal or performance. And what a beautiful thing to be able to build a social connection and social network on top of that. I definitely feel that, for some musicians, that's almost like the primary reason that they come is they want to feel that connected. They want to be with their tribe. And we all have those students who hang around the music office all throughout the week, and they're really craving that safe place. And there's that connection between the students and the players, but I think also there's a level of connection between the ensemble director and the students. And there's some students Absolutely. Who, in their circumstance, maybe don't have that particular person that they can really identify with and connect to, and has that shared passion that maybe someone at home doesn't. And I think that's a really special connection and bond as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's up to that musical director to know, like, simple things. What's your name? As soon as possible. When you get a new group, what's your name? What's your instrument? A little bit about the family, a little bit what they like doing. Do they like playing football? Do they play another instrument? All those things. And you can just mention that. They're walking in, hey, how you going? Pity that the Collingwood lost again on the weekend. And you get a smile, and there's a little bit of there's a relationship there. So it's
absolutely.
We're all in this together. You know what I mean?
And I make a real effort when I'm walking around the yard. I actually say hello to every muso that I walk past. Just trying to create that connection. It's a little bit weird at the moment because I'm at a pretty small school, so you end up seeing the same kids about 4 times in the day. They're wondering why I keep saying hello to them like I haven't seen them. Anyway, the next thing on my list was this sense of mastery, this sense of progress. We're going somewhere. We're getting better at that. Yep. Tell us, Joe.
Well, I think when setting up an ensemble rehearsal, you have to provide a template for improvement, not only as an ensemble, but something to take home and work on as your instrument. Because one of the great mysteries of playing an instrument is how to practice it and how to get better. So if we can be really clear and show a great model of how we improve through the ensemble, then hopefully that's just a natural progression. It goes home to the practice room. So it's not saying, here's the piece, go and make sure you can play that piece. That's your practice for the week. It's showing them what a warm-up is, what creating a beautiful sound is, what creating a rhythmic vocabulary is, what is time, what is pitch, all that stuff that we can show them. How do we improve a difficult passage, practicing slowly? How do we create a lyrical line from playing our chorales? All those different aspects of the ensemble rehearsal should ideally set up a template for home practice and also improving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. And obviously, when we're selecting repertoire and music, we need to choose the quality stuff that's going to allow that to happen. So have you got any thoughts about selecting repertoire?
Yes, I think unlike when I started teaching ensembles 20 years ago, there is so much information there and so much good repertoire out there. Well, having said that, the challenge then is to separate the good from maybe the not so good repertoire. What do you want to achieve with your ensemble rehearsal, and what repertoire will help you get there? And so there's stacks of great stuff, and having a varied repertoire, trying to include all the ensemble members with some interesting music to play, whether they play the tuba or the piccolo. There's functions and roles of those instruments in the ensemble, but there's also a repertoire that dumbs them down or lets them shine, and you've got to be able to find that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think there is a place for pop repertoire, in particularly in a school setting. For some students, playing The Lion King will be the most memorable part of their high school, and they will remember that for years and years and years. But that's not enough to get everything done. Variation is important.
It may not teach them as much as something else may teach them. So it's finding that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Joe, I reckon that's about 5 minutes. I think we're almost out of time. One thing that we spoke about before we hit the record button was this notion of getting investment from home and how important that is in retention. So I think working with parents to ensure that they just have the information that they need to support their young musician. How much practice should be happening? What does great practice sound like? So I think being able to teach the parents and invite them to be a part of that partnership is really, really valuable. Getting them to set up a nice practice space. Even if it is in the bedroom, you hear those stories of the kids who are forced out into the woodshed with the redbacks to go and practice their euphonium. That's not going to be a good equation for the musician, or probably the redbacks. You might be hiring or providing instruments to the family, so there's not a lot of investment there. But asking everybody to go out and purchase a $15 music stand so that the student can actually sit with great posture for their practice is a really simple, easy step that you can actually ask those parents to invest. That investment from the parents is more likely to encourage them long term. And one little thing I just did want to mention with retention is the power of language. I always talk about when. Next year, when you're doing ensemble, next year, when we go and do this, next year, when, not if. It's as if band isn't an option. We're doing this. I talk about our, not my. Yes. And the last little thing I wanted to mention is that we increase what we affirm. If a student feels good sitting in a rehearsal because you've affirmed them for something, then that's more likely to have them showing up the following week as well.
Sure, absolutely. We're in this together. And the other thing is, just don't assume that at home it's going to happen. That don't make assumptions.
Absolutely. Hey, Joe, that's our time. Thanks so much.
Good on you. Cheers.